Extra now to Dan Rather in New York.
This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. President Reagan is again trying to defend his old friend, political operative and U.S. Attorney General Ed Meese. He said today Meese should not resign. Mr. Reagan said this despite being told point blank by two former top aides to Meese that the Attorney General must go. Rita Braver reports the latest on the Meese case.
Attorney General Edwin Meese evaded reporters' questions today, but his boss said that Meese should not resign, that the Justice Department is functioning just fine. A view not widely held.
This erosion of credibility is becoming like a cancer in the Department of Justice. And everybody wants to get away before it touches them.
The blast came as the White House disclosed that on Wednesday, President Reagan, Vice President George Bush, Chief of Staff Howard Baker, and White House counsel A.B. Culverhouse met with two top-level Justice Department officials who resigned in protest over Meese's conduct. First, according to administration sources, former Deputy Attorney General Arnold Burns told the group that there was a deep malaise in the department, that Meese had lost the moral and legal authority to lead. Then the sources say former Criminal Division Chief William Weld said if he were the prosecutor, he would indict Meese for trading favors with his old friend and former attorney, E. Bob Wallach. Weld is familiar with the evidence against Meese, but the investigation is being conducted by independent counsel James McKay, who so far says he does not intend to bring an indictment. Administration sources said the president listened carefully, asked no questions, but seemed shocked by the revelations. Then, after Weld and Burns left, the president called in Meese, who reportedly justified all of his actions and insisted that the Justice Department is functioning well. When both meetings were over, the president endorsed Meese.
We don't know what will happen next. All we know is that the Attorney General is functioning and functioning well, and that the president expressed his continuing confidence.
For Burns, today was the last day at the Justice Department.
I have to confess to you that it is indeed a very sad day.
Meanwhile, Vice President Bush left on vacation without answering questions about the Attorney General. Still, Meese's problems are expected to become Bush's problems as the presidential campaign heats up. Rita Braver, CBS News, Washington.
White House officials say no medical problems were found as President and Nancy Reagan both had checkups today at Bethesda Naval Hospital. His was an X-ray dental exam. Hers was an X-ray breast examination, a follow-up for last October's breast cancer surgery. Severe birth defects, thousands and thousands of abortions. Those are among the effects the federal government is linking to a widely used anti-acne drug. But dermatologists point out the drug helps perhaps tens of thousands every year. CBS News medical correspondent Susan Spencer reports.
The government is considering pulling the powerful acne drug Accutane from the shelves because by one estimate it has caused the birth of up to 1,000 babies with birth defects in the last 6 years, despite warnings never to use it during pregnancy.
We must avoid pregnancy at all costs during Accutane therapy.
But internal FDA documents obtained by the New York Times estimate that along with birth defects, Accutane has caused up to 1,000 spontaneous abortions. 5,000 to 7,000 others, the FDA estimates, were induced by women who took the drug and later worried about birth defects. The drug's manufacturer has gone to great lengths to publicize the danger. The package insert warns emphatically, do not take Accutane if pregnant. Severe human birth defects are known to occur.
We've got a problem, and the problem falls between the area of do we deal with labeling, do we deal with something else in regards to the drug.
The company disputes the FDA's estimate of the number of birth defects that have occurred, but it is concerned.
Well, our response is that, in fact, we're talking about an essential drug that belongs on the market. There are 250,000 people that need this drug who receive it every year.
Despite the risks, dermatologists would hate to lose this effective treatment, for which many say there is no substitute.
I think it's a very good drug when used under the appropriate precautions, when used by responsible physicians and by responsible patients.
Sometimes acne can be so severe that it causes both physical and even emotional scarring. And to lose a drug that can be so effective in treating that would be really a crime.
Accutane's manufacturer hopes to stop any move to ban or limit the drug's use. A company spokesman said today that instead it will propose new packaging. Packaging which makes that pregnancy warning obvious every single time a patient opens a container to take a pill. Susan Spencer, CBS News, Washington.
The Senate today began debate on a sweeping new trade bill already passed by the House but bitterly opposed by President Reagan. Few matters of international trade touch Americans more directly than foreign oil, and the price you pay this summer for gasoline may hinge on what happens next week when OPEC meets in Vienna. Also present at that meeting will be a man from Texas. Peter Van Sant has his story.
The Texas economy, which runs on oil, ran out of gas with the collapse of world oil prices. Idle oil rigs, thousands of idle workers, bad times in the oil patch.
Take a look at the number of bank failures we have today, almost an all-time record. The business bankruptcies, the family businesses going under.
Hard economic times makes for strange bedfellows. Next week, without the approval of the U.S. government, a Texan will attend an OPEC meeting in hopes of helping the cartel raise oil prices. That Texan is Kent Hance of the Texas Railroad Commission, a state agency which for years controlled U.S. oil prices.
It's not a question of someone setting the price, it's a question of who's going to set the price and for what reasons. We're not in love with OPEC, but I think that we have to look at it, what is best for Texas.
What Kent Hance would like to do is to have an artificial prop and make oil prices as high as possible for his Texas producers. While that may be good for Texas, it's bad for the rest of the country.
Even in his home state, where higher oil prices would be a boon for the economy, Hance is getting drilled by some critics who think dealing with OPEC is a crude idea.
I think we may have a loose cannon in a very powerful position in Texas government now. A half-mouth will travel, and once that mouth's traveling, you don't know what's going to come out of it.
They don't understand it. They don't understand it. I tell you, when they had a good deal was when Texas was in control.
Hance's supporters say unless oil prices rise, spurring more domestic production, the U.S. will become dangerously dependent on OPEC oil.
If anything, it helps get the oil prices up, but I'd like to see it do it. Maybe we can help them drill something over or something. I don't know.
So amid the OPEC oil ministers next week, you may spot a cowboy hat as one Texan works to help OPEC make future trips to the gas station more expensive. Peter Van Sant, CBS News, Midland, Texas.
Michael Dukakis went at President Reagan's trade policy today. Dukakis said it would be a tragedy if Mr. Reagan vetoes the trade bill, a bill that would make many U.S. companies warn workers of layoffs and plant closings. Both Dukakis and Jesse Jackson have been courting the union labor vote in proud but hurting industrial Pennsylvania and Ohio. They're not just trying to beat each other in the next round of primaries. They want to win back for the Democrats an important group of voters nationwide on Election Day. Bruce Morton reports now on the Democrats and the blue-collar blues.
Clairton is a dying town with dying steel mills south of Pittsburgh in the Monongahela Valley. Meet some of the men who live here and who work or worked in the mills. This election is about their lives.
It's sad to see this valley go down the drain like it has gone. It's just a shame.
What we have to do now, we have to definitely look at a team that is going to come in, and I'm saying a Democratic team.
Jackson, he is talking the mill workers' language.
Retrain our workers. Let's rebuild America and put Americans back
We
to work.
need a candidate that can win as far as bringing the Democratic Party together, as far as working with labor.
We're going to have to look at Mr. Dukakis and a good vice president to come in and do the job.
I think the caucus is winnable. He can win.
Michael Dukakis will probably get the most votes in this valley. He is right on labor's issues, too.
We're going to have a national plant closing law that gives us notice, that gives you notice, and that makes sure that we treat people right.
But there is sincere respect for Jesse Jackson.
I think Jesse Jackson has to be there somehow to bring the vote together and to bring the Democratic Party together.
Of course, it isn't just the old steel towns. That used to be labor in Pennsylvania. The big unions now are the teachers, the service employees. The economy is changing.
They have had to take jobs that still use some of their skills, but only pay them half as much money. And it's tough to take a 50% pay cut.
A lot of people around this area are suffering. Right here in the city of Clairton, they lost the police force. They can't afford the police force.
No money. State police only now. Will traditional Democrats here come back to their party?
I think they'll come home. I think they learned their lesson.
They know the good old days won't come again, but
We suffered a lot in this valley through the Republican regime, and they just forgot about us.
We're looking for someone to come in and help us. And I think we have to look at the Democratic Party to try to make this move.
Talking Union. Bruce Morton, CBS News, Clairton, Pennsylvania.
And still to come on the Friday CBS Evening News. Leslie Stahl on cultural exchanges with the Russians and the problem of paying the piper. And Eric Ingberg on playing the big league blues in Baltimore.
It's not unusual that Subaru has sold a lot of cars. What is unusual is how many of them are still running. An astonishing 92% of all Subarus registered since 1978 are still on the road. And now if you buy a Subaru, you'll get back as much as $2,000. Of course, that $2,000 may not be built to last, but at least you know your Subaru is.
At Red Lobster, we know how you love shrimp. Lots of shrimp. So here's 29 shrimp, 4 different ways, all in one dinner. Succulent shrimp cocktail, sizzling shrimp scampi, crispy fried shrimp, and savory stuffed shrimp. It's the ultimate shrimp lover's feast. 29 shrimp, 4 different ways. This week at Red Lobster. And now, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, too, enjoy the shrimp and crab feast, just $10.95. And kids' popcorn shrimp, just 99 cents.
Suddenly, homes all across America are opening. They're opening for Coldwell Banker's annual spring open house celebration. More homes than ever before, so you're sure to find the one that's right for you. Just call your nearest Coldwell Banker office. But hurry, spring doesn't last forever, and neither does our open house celebration. Coldwell Banker, expect the best. A member of the Sears Financial Network.
Following this week's clashes with Iran, President Reagan has reportedly decided to change the rules he set in motion in the Persian Gulf and finally allow U.S. warships to come to the aid of any vessel under attack. Up to now, the U.S. Navy was assigned only to protect U.S.-flagged ships. Mikhail Gorbachev expressed frustration today with what he called the slow pace of negotiations on a strategic arms treaty. Gorbachev met with Secretary of State Schultz to prepare for next month's summit conference. The Soviet leader said the two sides seem to be marking time on the arms treaty. Schultz said they're trying hard to work out many difficult problems. Gorbachev also made a public appearance today with the man reputed to be his chief rival inside the Kremlin. Barry Peterson has that story.
Lenin's birthday, with all eyes on the man sitting to the right of Mikhail Gorbachev, his bitter opponent and the number 2 man in the Politburo, Igor Ligachev. His appearance came amid swirling rumors that he has been politically destroyed in a fierce showdown with Gorbachev behind the Kremlin walls. He was conspicuously absent at several previous events where a trusted Gorbachev ally was standing in. Ligachev and other conservatives have opposed the rapid implementation of perestroika. They also oppose glasnost, which is bringing more freedom of the press, especially criticism of former Soviet leader Joseph Stalin.
They want an image of a strong man. They don't want to look at the past that they're associated with and see that it's bad.
According to some reports, Ligachev has been stripped of his role as the party's ideological boss. His control of Soviet TV and newspapers taken away. Foreign Minister Shevardnadze tonight denied there's been any change in Ligachev's position.
There's no sign of any conflict situation. So the information that you have is erroneous.
If Ligachev is neutralized, it may ease the danger to Gorbachev from opponents in the army and the KGB, who are unhappy about changes that are diminishing their influence. If Gorbachev has beaten his chief opponent, it means he's at the height of his power since he took over 3 years ago. Barry Peterson, CBS News, Moscow.
As President Reagan prepares for the election year summit in Moscow, there are glitches from his past summits with Gorbachev. One example, the agreement on more U.S.-Soviet cultural exchanges. CBS News National Affairs correspondent Leslie Stahl reports tonight Mr. Reagan has not put money where his arts policy is.
When the Russian defector Mikhail Baryshnikov danced with the Bolshoi in Boston, U.S.-Soviet relations took another leap forward. But if Secretary of State Shultz hadn't stepped in at the last minute, and if Governor Dukakis hadn't left the campaign trail to call home, Baryshnikov and the most ambitious of all U.S.-Soviet cultural exchanges might never have gotten off the ground. Astonishingly, 1 week before opening night, barely any tickets had been sold.
Pretty close to disaster, maybe 12, 24 hours away from bankruptcy. People were considering canceling the entire festival.
We wanted very much to make sure that this went forward, and Secretary Shultz was helpful.
He said that the Soviets would never understand that this had fallen apart due to fundraising. They would think it was an attempt to create an international problem.
The Reagan administration provided heavy pressure, but no money. A last-minute bailout from the state and Boston businessmen rescued the festival so hundreds of Soviets and Americans could play together on stage and backstage.
Fourth такое. And you know who is their interpreter outside?
This Boston festival is the face of Ronald Reagan's détente, one of the early results of his change in attitude toward the place he used to call the evil empire. Because of that change, we are on the threshold of an explosion in U.S.-Soviet cultural exchanges. In New York, an art exhibit from Leningrad, postponed 8 years ago when the Soviets invaded Afghanistan. In Atlanta, a satellite chat featuring gymnast Olga Korbut. Yes, that's little Olga. But all this goodwill glasnost costs a lot. Several orchestras have had to cancel trips to Moscow. Unlike state-subsidized Soviets, Americans in the land of capitalism are on their own. For the Dance Theater of Harlem, being chosen by our government was a mixed blessing.
There's a prestige to it, and it's a wonderful honor, but unfortunately it takes dollars and cents to go. I should be rehearsing and preparing, but I'm out fundraising.
When you look at $200 billion deficits, and all that means, the government can only play a minor role financially in that kind of thing.
The administration insists we can't afford not to have cultural exchanges. They're an important tool in our foreign policy. But if the government can't afford to help, those footing the bill worry about the future of this artful side of superpower politics. Leslie Stahl, CBS News, Boston.
The Internal Revenue Service today revoked the tax-exempt status of the scandal-tarred and bankrupt PTL television ministry. PTL officials have said tax-exempt status is essential to the ministry's survival. In Joliet, Illinois today, 2 explosions ripped through a grain elevator complex, killing at least 2 people, injuring 3 others. Another 3 people were reported missing. The blast leveled 2 grain silos at the ADM Growmark complex, about 40 miles southwest of Chicago. Officials believe grain dust may have caused the first explosion, which ruptured a natural gas main, touching off the second blast.
Here, you get to keep the sign. Okay, look at that.
When you choose someone to help you sell your home, you want it to be somebody you can trust. Maybe that's why Century 21 is the #1 home selling system in America. We know a whole lot about trust.
Come with us.
Get the picture?
Put your trust in #1. Century 21.
You've just been caught knocking off the Kellogg's Cracklin' Oat Bran. What's the most intelligent way to respond?
Did you eat all the Cracklin' Oat Bran?
Define the word eat.
Did you eat all the Cracklin' Oat Bran?
Yo, Mom, your shoelace.
Did you eat?
Yeah.
With the crunchy sweet taste of Kellogg's Cracklin' Oat Bran, an open box is an empty box.
Painful conditions are a fact of life in a modern hospital. And when it comes to relieving everyday pain, the overwhelming choice of hospitals is Tylenol. Tylenol is clinically proven effective for all kinds of pain. That's a medical fact. And there's another important thing you should know. Hospitals can trust Tylenol not to irritate your stomach. In fact, unlike aspirin or even ibuprofen, Tylenol is so easy on your stomach, most ulcer patients can use it. Tylenol. It's tough on pain, easy on your stomach.
A leader of anti-Marxist rebels in Mozambique has been assassinated in Portugal. Police found the body of 44-year-old Evo Fernandez at the side of a road near Lisbon. He'd been shot in the head. Hundreds of thousands of people have died in more than 10 years of civil war in Mozambique. Hundreds of thousands more have fled the country into neighboring states, including white-ruled South Africa. Correspondent Martha Teichner reports from the border.
Last year, this fence killed more than 50 people. The South Africans designed it to kill anybody who touches it. Charged with 3,000 volts of electricity, it stretches 40 miles along South Africa's border with Mozambique. Not even this killer fence, nor the corridor of landmines just beyond it, have been able to hold back waves of Mozambicans desperate to reach South Africa. On the one hand, South Africa tries to kill them. On the other hand, it brags that they are willing to risk their lives to experience what the rest of the world considers the evils of apartheid. Never mind that for these Mozambicans, apartheid may simply be the lesser of two evils.
These people are risking their lives for only one reason, that in Mozambique there's an even greater certainty of death.
Death from hunger, death from war. 3 million Mozambicans are starving, the victims of a man-made famine, Mozambique's bitter 12-year civil war, its effects aggravated by drought. The resulting exodus from Mozambique has become a human hemorrhage across its borders. Last year alone, 11,000 Mozambicans were caught trying to walk across South Africa's massive Kruger National Park, which stretches nearly 250 miles along the Mozambican border and covers 4 million acres. Often sick, always hungry, they usually travel unarmed, easy prey at night. If they can reach any of the black homelands dotted like islands within South Africa, they're safe and are taken care of. But if they set foot in white-controlled South African territory, they are regarded as illegal aliens. They are rounded up and sent home. South African military authorities use the figure 3% for the number of Mozambicans who actually crossed the border to escape the war. The other 97%, they argue, crossed to find work and therefore cannot be considered refugees. Aid organizations who run refugee camps in black homelands tell a different story. Their counts show the vast majority are old men, women, and children, not job seekers. But the South African government is now processing and repatriating 3,000 Mozambicans a month. Many have been caught 3 and 4 times. All say that until life is better in Mozambique, they will keep on taking whatever risks they must to come to South Africa until they make it. Martha Teichner, CBS News, near the Mozambican border.
Kindergartners are using an IBM learning program called Writing to Read. Through computers and other tools, it's helping children across the country learn to read as much as 2 grade levels above the national average.
I see a tiger. A tiger sees me. Tigers live in the zoo. The end.
To learn more, write IBM, Box 446, Montvale, New Jersey.
This is the all-new Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme, and this is the new Cutlass Supreme game going on right now. Game brochures are at your Oldsmobile dealer or participating McDonald's. Understand so far? Good. Play the Cutlass Supreme game. You could win an all-new Cutlass Supreme SL or $1,000 in cash, and you'll get a coupon for cash back on a new Cutlass Supreme. Game pieces are at your Olds dealer. You should go there. Any question? Good.
I stained this last year, and it's fading already. Why?
You didn't protect it with Thompson's Water Seal stain.
Look at that streaking. Guess I used the wrong stain.
You did. Only Water Seal stain contains Thompson's Water Seal, a formula that's better than the leading brand at protecting both the color and the wood, and this test shows it.
With Water Seal stain, the next time won't be for a long time.
Thompson's Water Seal Stain, beauty that lasts at last. Now available at selected paint, hardware, and home center stores.
Over the past 3 decades, the Baltimore Orioles won more games than any other team in the major leagues. That's a fact, known to baseball fans. But now everybody knows about the Orioles because of a record Baltimore would soon forget. Eric Ingberg has the story.
In losing their 15th straight game, the Baltimore Orioles passed from the realm of the merely inept to the historically inept. No one has ever started a season this pitifully.
When you think of people who've had a bad year so far, I mean, even Paul Simon won 1 primary. The only person in my lifetime that I can compare this to is the district attorney on Perry Mason, who lost every single week.
I'm getting all kind of advice. Phone's always ringing, telegrams and things, and I appreciate those things, but until they can put on the uniform and go out and play, I don't know how much help they're going to be.
The joker on Baltimore has a boy going to the police complaining that his father beats him. How about your mother, they say? She beats me too. The police decide to take him to Memorial Stadium on the theory that the Orioles can't beat anyone. But loyalty leavens the gallows humor in this city, which was celebrating a World Series win just 5 years ago, and which found out the hard way what it's like to have no team at all when the NFL Colts moved out one night. Here, they still cheer the team they call the O's, even though it's now the 15 and O's.
I know that they're going to win pretty soon.
When we come back, it'll be that much better. We'll be the only 0-15 team ever to win the pennant.
They gave us a lot of good years, and they're going to come back.
Losers, from the hapless Columbia University football team to the non-soaring Olympic eagle Eddie Edwards, tend to win fan hearts if they're bad enough.
There's not a place for mediocrity. Mediocrity is not beloved in this country. But true losing, hopelessness, the American public responds to that very well.
So well that some fans perversely speak of going all 162 games without a win, an accomplishment that everyone would remember and no one could top, ever. Eric Ingberg, CBS News, Baltimore.
And that's the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather. Bob Schieffer will be here tomorrow. I'll see you Monday. Good night.
You're on your way.
Putting the sun to work is my vision of the future. I believe solar-powered cars will be practical and necessary. Dow believes in my dream and has given me an open road to explore it. To discover and prove the car's worth, Dow backed me in races across Australia and over the Alps. As the dream comes closer, Dow is making the difference.
A couple of months ago, we gave a piece of our long-distance business to MCI. Our approach here is one step at a time. Then MCI told us we could have the same dedicated lines for domestic and international. They could design the software to tie all our messaging systems together. They showed us things about voice and data I didn't know they could do. Things AT&T wouldn't do. So much for one step at a time.
Until you call, you'll never know how much better a long-distance company can be. MCI. Let us show you.
Know what's so great about this new Hoover cordless double duty cleaner?
No.
It picks up dry spills and wet spills too.
Wow. Am I seeing double?
Yes.
I'll take one.
Double duty. Hoover keeps making it better.
So which one of you do I pay?
It's a big game, big boy. But you got the stuff, cause you got off the ground this morning with a real winner. Wheaties, Wheaties, pure whole wheat. Now go tell your mama what the big boys eat.
Channel 5, Eyewitness News. News you trust from people you know.
Good evening, everyone. Coming up on Eyewitness News tonight, the suspect in yesterday's Music Row attack